¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday morning. It is daylight savings time. I 100% agree, Chai Bureaucrat. How's it going? Daylight saving times is indeed biological warfare. Prove me wrong. Nah, I don't intend to. Thunder, how's it going? Murder comms. Does HelloFresh exist in Canada? That is a very good question. Let's find that out. Let me take 1 second. Okay. How's it going, everybody? I wish it would tell me right off the bat. I wish it would tell me right off the bat, but I'm going to assume it doesn't, because the first thing that it shows is -USA. So I think I'm gonna say no. But I'm gonna try to find that out. Okay. All right. So yes, this looks like it's U.S. only. So I apologize. So according to what I'm seeing here, it does look like it's U.S. only. I just saw something about Chernobyl being restored. Finally, true. That is true. That is true. Yeah, I mean, failure to do that would have been a massive disaster. So I don't know. I didn't think that they would just let that happen. You know. All right, folks. I was running a little bit late, so we've gotta hit the ground running. Yeah. It's not in Russia's best interest to cause nuclear meltdown, so I didn't think they would do it in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. It's everything is so everything is just so up in the air, I should say. Wouldn't be in Russia's interest at all, but, you know. A very bad accident with like a shell hitting the wrong place. That's the issue. It's not, you know, a matter of them wanting anything. It's a matter of just an oopsies, you know. All right, folks, we've got to hit the ground running because we've got a lot to cover. So I want to make sure we can get through some of this. All right. First and foremost, let me see here. Okay, I think I got everything settled. First up, let's check back in with our buddy, Madison Cawthorn. It's absurd how many anti-tank infantry the Ukrainians have watching videos, blown by the variety of arms being used. Well, it's mostly arms, I guess, supplied by us. Representative Madison Cawthorn called President Zelensky a thug. Quote, remember that Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt and it is incredibly evil and has been pushing woke ideologies. Damn. Well. If it isn't the shotgun of buzzwords. A leaked video showing GOP Representative Madison Cawthorn. And just to be clear, this is the GOP. This is the future of the GOP, and that is what they're trying to establish themselves as. Called their Ukrainian president a thug while speaking to supporters about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Damn. It's almost like the line that keeps getting consistently thrown around that, there are some elements of the GOP that are a little bit too gung-ho about Russia's actions seems to be true. While speaking to supporters about the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, remember that Zelensky is a thug. Damn. Congressman said in a 13-second clip published by Rally TV station WRAL, remember that the Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt and it is evil and has been pushing woke ideology. So I guess that's why they deserve all that? Is that what it is? Oh, and just don't take it from me. Don't take it from me, or don't even take it from Vice News. Don't even take it from Vice News. How about we just listen to the guy himself?
Send Stinger missiles over to them so they can defend themselves better, but remember that Zelensky is a thug. Remember that the Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt, and it is incredibly evil, and it has been pushing woke ideologies, and really there's the new woke world.
Yeah, this is basically almost Putin's talking point. This is a good meme. If the future GOP, Trump will have to give $5 million. I know it seems already. I'm not understanding, but definitely this is the GOP. Madison Cawthorn asked to be on Hassan's stream. Lol. Why? It's unclear where the video was taken. WRAL noted that Cawthorn held events in North Carolina last weekend, or when it was taken, although Cawthorn mentioned that the U.S. should send Stinger missiles over to Ukraine. They have been, so that they can defend themselves better. Two officials. Yeah, this is so weird. How can you simultaneously, support sending aid to Ukraine while simultaneously saying that their leader is a thug and pushing quote woke ideology? Because I have no idea what that means. I unironically don't know what that means. He didn't really specify. Polls have shown that Republican voters view Zelensky favorably, like Democrats do. The reaction to the GOP elected officials to Russia's invasion has been split. While Republican congressional leaders condemned the invasion, Representatives Gosar, Marjorie Taylor Greene both spoke at a white nationalist conference last month, whose organizer favorably compared Russian president to Hitler. Yeah. Oh, and just to be clear, the person we're speaking with is Nick Fuentes. So, if anyone knows, or if anyone can make those connections, it would most likely be someone like him. I don't know why, but Hassan said no. Yeah, I would say no too. When I was in high school, woke literally meant smoking weed and talking about space. What? That was a terminology back then? The donors, yeah, that's right. The weapons industry is getting a lovely windfall. That's true. That's true. It got ruined by anti-vaxxers. Well, I think the term woke was not just for anti-vaxxers, was it? Am I wrong? It depends, because if you're Madison Cawthorn, woke just means what I don't like, things that I don't like, political positions that I have absolutely no arguments against. So I'm just gonna call them as a buzzword that seems to rile people up, and that's it. That's literally what he's doing. As for comment, Cawthorn's congressional office pointed to a Twitter thread where Cawthorn didn't directly address the video. Okay, so useless. I don't care. If you're trying to deflect and not answer for that specific comment, then okay. Quote, propaganda is being used to entice America into another war. I mean, It certainly felt like that, but I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. And of course, here's him backpedaling. The actions of Putin and Russia are disgusting, but leaders, including Zelensky, should not push misinformation on America. Which misinformation? Can you give us an example? Why? I'm praying for Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. Pray also that we're not drawn into a conflict based on foreign leaders pushing misinformation. Which one? Who? What misinformation? Can you give us an example? Like, I need to know what you're talking about. This is what's sinister about it. He's saying something objectively correct, but his analysis, solutions, and motivations are all for the wrong reasons. Yeah, but like... Yeah. I don't know, man. Trying to say that Zelensky is a quote thug pushing woke ideology. I don't know. I feel like a lot of red flags went off. To be fair, Zelensky does spread propaganda, but every country does. Yeah, okay, but propaganda means what? It just means stuff that it's delivered with an intent bias meant to create a certain narrative, right? Not that it necessarily is bad or good, right? The anti-war and propaganda stuff. Yeah, like I agree with this statement that there are sometimes the powers at be are, you know, drumming us up to potentially get us into a you know, other conflict, but I'm not so sure just how much in this case that's playing out to be, right? Because like at first we were hearing some very, very disturbing rhetoric, in particular with the Biden administration trying to essentially accept that this might be inevitable, or at least it felt like it. But so far we have not been drawn into another conflict. So far. Have you gone and undergone a clock change? Yeah, unfortunately. But he's talking about it in a malicious way. Yeah, like I'm getting all kind of red flags, all kind of underlying dog whistles here. Like, I want to point out that this is the same guy who's calling the son of, you know, Jewish parents a thug. Mr. I like to vacation in Hitler's pad. Yeah, okay. Mr. The problem with this country is that there's not enough, quote, high testosterone men. Mr. Women need to raise their young men to be monsters. Yeah. Isn't he against porn too? I don't know. Probably. He probably thinks it's, you know, degeneracy or something like that. I don't know. That being said, he didn't have to say all of this to say war bad. He didn't have to say all of this or go about it this way to say that he doesn't agree with getting ourselves into another conflict. Because I can just say that, right? I mean, I've said it before since the beginning of this crisis. War bad, and we should be doing everything in our power to stay out of it. Like in a, in a we do not need to be getting ourselves into a conflict we can absolutely avoid as much as possible. Or the right-wing talking points, the GOP have to backtrack when the media shoots down like Trump's YT and Twitter accounts. Well, I saw the most delusional tweet about NATO and nuclear war that broke my brain, and now I can't forget it. Can you give me like a shorthand? A summary, a TLDR? That's exactly the problem here. The adoption of popular, non-controversial statements and then they add a bunch of controversial shits like laundering. Well, yeah, I mean, how do you think that? Yeah, exactly. Absolutely, Chai Bureaucrat. Like, that's the whole point, right? It's a faux appeal. It's a faux appeal to some kind of like pseudo-populist message that couches some very dark shit into it. Yes, I believe I did, Astro. I'm still trying to work through the other stuff. Maybe one of these days we can watch it on a Saturday or something. Or maybe I'll do it towards the end of the week. I can save this video. And it's the same playbook, Chai Bureaucrat. It's the same playbook that I see time and time again, right? We've got people like Josh Hawley who are like, yeah, we got to bring these corporations accountable. We got to hold these corporations accountable and all this other stuff. And we got to uplift the working class to create a new America for the working class. And by the way, it's something immigrants. And like they'll just couch this stuff in faux populist rhetoric that kind of entices people at the beginning and makes, some point about the fact that corporations have way too much undue power. They're very intertwined with government and all that other stuff. And then when you're like, yeah, that's obviously true, they'll switch it. They'll flip the switch on you and tell you it's about the immigrants or whatever it is that they need to direct you to. And then they'll slowly get you to accept that maybe democracy isn't that good. Maybe democracy isn't really that good. Maybe you should follow somebody like me. I can take care of your problem, which I told you. I told you your problem, and I'm the solution. Me. That's right. Fascism 101. It's the classic playbook. You couch pseudo-populist rhetoric that, on the surface, at the beginning, it sounds true. And then, once the bait is set, whoop, they pull the curtain, It's very disturbing how effective it can be, especially during times of crises. Correct. And then it becomes, let's have an autocratic dictatorship where it's me who's in charge. NATO needs to step. Okay, hold on. Yeah, tell me you do not understand geopolitics without telling me you don't understand the severity of the situation. Jesus Christ. So, this person, in response to I think there was a journalist slash documentary person who was killed in Russia, Ukraine, in the Ukrainian Russian conflict, right? They were out there, they were trying to make a documentary or film, I guess, or cover what's happening on the ground. And unfortunately, Russian soldiers killed the one guy, and I think injured another one. And unfortunately, yeah. And this person's response is, enough is enough. NATO needs to step up now and get more involved. How much more NATO can't get involved. NATO is a defensive, allegedly, alliance. NATO cannot get involved. In paper, theoretically, the purpose of NATO is a reaction, not a preemptive. NATO cannot be the aggressor. NATO, on paper, was supposed to be a defensive pact, right? We can't be held hostage to the threat of nuclear war any longer. So you just want to accelerate that. So you just want this all to end in a fiery nuclear winter. Cool. She thinks that NATO will prevent nuclear war, and that's what propaganda does. That's what bad propaganda does, right? NATO is not going to prevent nuclear war. I don't understand. Wait, like, people think that, like, what do people want exactly? Because I asked this, and nobody can give me an answer. I've asked this several times, and nobody can give me an acceptable answer. What do you want us to do that does not involve getting ourselves into a direct conflict with a nuclear superpower? What other steps do you want us to take than further than we've already done? What other steps do you want us to take that does not involve us getting into a direct conflict with a nuclear superpower? We've been leveraging NATO membership to expand Western hegemony and actively put pressure on it and instability on Russia, and here we are. Well, I'm not sure that's the entirety of the story, but I do believe that there were several, especially back in the day, several foreign policy blunders that may or may not have opened the possibility of this being the end game of how this would turn out. I'm not a geopolitical expert, nor am I going to sit here and pretend that I know every single, history or background between all of these deals between NATO, even beforehand during the Soviet years. I can't tell you. What I can say is that it feels like I think there's some truth to the fact that, there's a lot of foreign policy blunder back in the day, maybe some even more recently, that have possibly put us on this path regardless. Maybe. Yeah. She's doing exactly what NATO wants, more support for more expansion. Yeah, but, like, the thing is, those countries weren't, like, bullied into NATO, to my understanding. They felt threatened by Russia. That's why they did it. If they didn't feel like they were threatened, why would they need to join NATO? That's the only thing that like is not really computing with me, because like if Russia wasn't threatening them, which, to be clear, and I mean this has happened where they have used force. If they weren't being threatened, why would NATO even need to exist? I mean, it seems intuitive enough. But Russia felt threatened by NATO first. How is my question? How to come into favor with the West? It's not entirely military. No. Things don't run always necessarily militarily. Things run economically, right? The way we operate, the way we operate nowadays, it's more economic than anything, right? Correct. So you don't have to get bullied. Yeah, I mean, like ideally we would have a we would have a scenario where everybody is effectively I don't want to say forced, but in a position where going into conflict would just be bad all around. All you need is a struggling economy after the fall of the USSR and a carrot dangled. Yeah. But there have been plenty of shady stuff to get these nations into NATO. Maybe. Like I said, there is quite possibly several periods of time where foreign policy blunders have opened the pathway for this to be an outcome. I think I remember NATO as training places that Russia took as a threat. Okay, well, I mean, they did loads of training exercises across the border for years now. I mean, yeah, this has been happening for quite some time. I think whatever responsibility we have, we should shoulder. And I think we should be doing everything in our power to resolve this issue without getting ourselves into a conflict. Yeah, sure, but like I guess my original question is, I mean, like I guess at the end of the day, I mean, I don't think that I don't think this like can be excused, because like Putin's justifications weren't always about NATO necessarily. Putin's justification was borderline nationalistic, right? He wasn't like, oh, we need to defeat NATO, or NATO's on our borders, or NATO is being way too aggressive, or whatever. Putin's justification, that weird, almost an hour speech, was mostly a nationalistic argument. Right, he did do the ultimate. He made that ultimate decision. I think what Chai's argument is like there are explanations as to why we got here. There are explanations that go back, as you said, like 20 years ago, maybe even further. Um, that may have played a part into where we are. At the end of the day, ultimately Putin did make that decision, but I'm no expert. I figure it's moved to prevent any additional expansion. But I think that Ukraine would be willing to be neutral. I guess you know what will be the real test at the end of the day to see if, because I haven't heard this yet. There's more ceasefire talks. There's more ceasefire negotiations that are happening. At this time, I think that the real test would be if Ukraine says, "Look, we are not going to join NATO." If Ukraine says we are not going to join NATO and Russia still doesn't back off or doesn't remove their troops or whatever, we can make another, assessment after that. Yes. I believe in 2014 we had a heavy hand in the outcome of their elections, or at least there was some kind of shenanigans going on. We had some dealings or some hand in some shenanigans with that election. I do believe that you are correct about funding. Definitely funding. I mean, we've been clear about that, right? We're going to continue to provide provide, weapons and whatever it is, aid. I believe that part is true. What I want to know is how, if again this is a hypothetical, how Putin will react, because remember, there's negotiation still ongoing. I think there's another meeting today, or was it yesterday? No, it has to be today, I think. I kind of vaguely remember seeing something about it. If Ukraine puts on the table, we are not going to join NATO, then I want to see what the Russian response would be at that point. I want to see what the Russian response is at that point, because there's, unfortunately for us, there is incredible instability and revolt. Yeah, I just see in this point in time, at the end of the day, Putin decided to, Putin's the one that decided this, and I think that his justifications were a bit weak, and didn't really include a lot of like NATO talk, which is like, again, like weird. I'm still trying to figure all of this out. So expansion wouldn't work, and we've continued to fund the government to put down the Eastern Rebellion. And now that Russia has invaded, we're going to do is fund an insurgency. Yeah, the apparent justification for funding said insurgency is because they want to make it as costly as possible for Russia. That's the whole point. What if proving that Ukraine will never be in NATO is the base for negotiations? Yeah, then I would want to see how Russia reacts. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly, Tendera. If, and again, I don't know what the, what the mindset is of the Ukrainian president, but if he puts that on the table and says, look, I need you to get out. This is our, sovereign land. I need you to get out. However, we can make a deal where we will not join NATO. And that's it. And I want to see how that then plays out, because at that point then we can kind of tell, right, what's really going on. Yeah, like the 80s Afghanistan. That's right, the Mujahideen. Yes. What this is, yeah. Anyways, the point being is, like, I don't see Putin's speech and justifications as much as a NATO expansion problem, as much as it is a nationalistic argument, which is like, autocrats are gonna autocrat, I guess. Yeah, he attempted to use that as an excuse, which is like, okay, but like, what about what about here? Like, there's plenty of Nazis over here. That's not an excuse. But just know that none of what I'm saying is attempting to justify brute actions. It's just perspective on what we've done to contribute to this. Yeah, like I said, there may have been plenty. There may be significant backstory that can be pointed to that maybe have led to these outcomes. So then, if so, it's our job to fix it. It's our job to fix it. Or, at the very least, Jesus Christ, stay out of it. In terms of like getting ourselves involved into a broader conflict, because it turns out two nuclear superpowers just cannot go to blows. That's just not a thing that can happen. That's just not a thing that can happen. If this escalates, it cannot be our pushing, right? It cannot be our push, or our fault, I guess, would be the word. If this escalates, it cannot be because of our actions. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's not a good argument. Benjamin P. Dixon Show rating with a party of 6. Welcome, everybody. I hope everyone's doing okay with that time zone change. It's been brutal. It's been absolutely brutal. It's been so brutal that I forgot my coffee. Sorry, I'm working this when they ended, so it's a smaller one. Might be. It's all good, Samuline the Kind Dragon. I appreciate it. No, it's not a problem at all. Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Folks, if you don't know who we are A Difficult Truth. We do news and politics Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us for Saturday Catterday, noon Eastern Time. And if you don't already support the Benjamin P. Dixon Show, please consider supporting them, following them. They do fantastic work, and sometimes even guest on the Nomiki Show and the Majority Report. It's a great morning show. True, it's a great morning show. Should start off your early morning AM with a cup of coffee or whatever your favorite morning beverage is. turn on the Benjamin P. Dixon Show. And then come here. How about that? Thank you for the follow, Cognac Jack. I appreciate that. Present me with logic. Howdy, howdy. Alright, folks. So yes, the TLDR is that, the future of the GOP. The future of the GOP, folks.
Your missiles over to them so they can defend themselves better. But remember that Zelensky is a thug. Remember that the Ukrainian government is incredibly corrupt and it is incredibly evil and it has been pushing woke ideologies and really there's the new woke world.
Yeah. That's some good memes. Folks, there are some people who continue to push this idea that the Biden administration is just not adequate or hasn't been adequate in keeping the supply flowing. Well, and this by no means is a good thing. The article should read, the real story should be the Biden administration is redoubling its efforts to decouple ourselves from fossil fuels so that we become energy independent. You should really watch the Ukraine on Fire documentary, maybe at some point. Why is everyone so worried about being woke? Why are Republicans afraid of the word woke? Depends on how they use it. Sometimes it just means things I don't like. It's just another buzzword sometimes. Ever since Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th, Republican politicians, conservative pundits, and fossil fuel industry leaders have accused President Biden of weakening the U.S. economic power against Russia by reducing oil and gas production. Last week, for example, Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, or a Republican from Tennessee, said Joe Biden has given up the best defense we have against Vladimir Putin. Well, yeah, the best defense. Evil vision for the world, energy independence. Well, none of these folks who are claiming to want energy independence, none of these folks are actually putting a pathway to energy independence. What could be so better? What could be so good for energy independence than to start moving in the direction of renewables? We don't have to depend, which is hence the word independent. We don't have to depend on bringing in fuel or fracking or continuing to drill, which degrades the environment, is a threat to public health, isn't even that efficient. It's like every time they say something, they really mean the other thing. The plan should be we should nationalize America's oil. Listen, if these oil companies cannot take into consideration or take into account all the, not only the just efficiencies that they are dealing with, the the economic deficiencies, the fact that they are destroying the planet, the fact that they are destroying the local ecology, the fact that they are hurting people's health. If they can't fix it, then yeah, you should if you don't have a plan to get yourself off fossil fuels as a company, because you have the billions and billions of dollars to do so, if you don't have a plan to fix this, then you shouldn't exist. Plain and simple. If it means nationalizing the energy for for national security, then go for it. F all politicians, true. Republicans using woke as a dog whistle if they're seeing something that POC have deemed important, and likely hurts Republican pockets, so they're vehemently against it. Yeah, like, I don't know. It sometimes it could just be that. Spread it forward. Sometimes it's a dog whistle. Sometimes it's just like a buzzword of things I don't like. But a data dashboard unveiled Wednesday by the Center of Western Priorities, what? Shows that the opposite is true. The federal government has been using oil and gas drilling permits more willingly than President Donald Trump's first year in office. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Republicans, they're not interested in doing anything. That's the whole point. That's the trick. Woke just broadly refers to modern progress. No, those are different words though. Words mean things, folks. I don't know, but if people think that they're coming here to troll, woof. If they think that they're coming here to troll, oh man, did you come to the wrong place? You have no power here. Woke means Biden's correct. True. I don't know. Woke means it depends. It just depends. That's funny. The federal government has been issuing oil and gas drilling permits more willingly than it did during Donald Trump. Nice. That's a good meme. And it could be issuing even more if the gas industry weren't leaving many current leases underdeveloped. So it's the oil companies who are pushing this for profits. They're squeezing because obviously when you have a item, I don't want to say commodity. Well, when you have something, right, that people need, then that creates a inelastic demand. And these folks can do whatever they want. Right now, the industry is sitting on 9,173 approved but unused drilling permits on federal and tribal lands. Jesus Christ. This is mystifying to some observers. Mystifying? What? What's so mysterious about this? There's some observers who note that filing for those permits has already cost operators more than $10,000 each. These permits, yeah, but putting prices up through the roof is gonna be way more than this. The permit also expires after 2 years, with only one extension allowed. More than 26 million acres of federal land, an area comparable to the size of Kentucky, are currently under lease for oil and gas drilling. Of that, more than slightly half, 13.9 million acres, equivalent to the size of West Virginia, are not being used. Yeah, so if the argument is that, well, Joe Biden is not doing anything to facilitate the flow of petrol, then you would be incorrect. You would be incorrect because it's the corporations who are purposely doing this to squeeze. Because it turns out a lot of us at this point in time need, gas to get to work, unfortunately. Because, if we don't work, we don't eat. So it creates a scenario where these corporations have something that we need, and they can do whatever they want at this point. Have been doing whatever they want at this point. The real answer to energy independence is renewables. That's it. That is the answer. That is the real answer. If you want to move towards energy independence, then you need to do whatever you can in fastest amount of time possible, in whatever means and ways possible, renewables, to go renewable. That's it. That's literally it right there. If you want energy independence, that's the way to go. There are several countries in Europe who are now coming to this realization out of pure necessity because of this crisis, unfortunately. They have come to the realization that, well, we kind of need to. We kind of need to get ourselves decouple ourselves from fossil fuels, period. Did you hear about wind reeds that harness wind energy? No, but that's pretty interesting. The government's job is not to make profit. True. The government's job is to provide services. That's right. So yeah, this idea that Biden hasn't done anything when it comes to increasing the flow of oil is just nonsense. It's just nonsense. The real thing that we should be asking ourselves is why, instead of handing out all these permits and all these other goodies for the fossil fuel industry, why not move in a way that's renewable? Why not move in a way that would actually achieve energy independence? That's the real question. But President Biden is not interested in any of that. You can use plastics and magnets to harness tiny amounts of wind energy, use AMP technology in reverse. What? That's interesting. We'll see how much we can get through this.
What the f*** are you doing?
Whoa.
Wasting so much time managing your employees' work schedule instead
What
of
the
simply
heck?
using Connect Team. Easily plan, distribute.
Jesus. Oh my god. Ah, ah, ah.
Oh, what a crowd
What
this
a
is.
crowd.
It's freezing out here. It's freezing out here. But we're going to warm it up. We're going to warm it up.
Don't care.
Hello to South Carolina. What a place. What a victory we had.
Are we gonna make
Nobody told me it was so cold in South Carolina. I always think of warm, beautiful sun.
what? How do you not? Okay. Wind energy has to be collected higher up where the wind is stronger and with more power. I think that offshore wind is pretty decent. Pretty decent. Pretty decent.
But this is going to keep us awake. This keeps us awake. I want to thank
Keep us awake? What? Is he trying to get those folks to be woke?
everybody for being here. It's incredible. I heard you went through rainstorms and everything else, and you're freezing your asses off, and this crowd is unbelievable. Thank you. Thank
Language,
you.
Mr. President,
You know,
language.
I just wish the fake news would take those cameras, look at all of them. They just show the crowd. They never do it. They never do it.
Bro, if you don't want the fake news broadcasting your garbage rally, then just don't have them there.
They don't like to do it. This is really amazing. It's great to be back in this beautiful...
They're filming your rally. You want them just to film the crowd? The crowd isn't the one speaking. Okay. Hey, Batman, how's it going?
state. I love this state. We had a big victory, and we actually had an honest vote count. Isn't that nice? We had an honest vote count with thousands of proud,
The honest vote count is the one that I win. Cool.
hardworking American patriots. That's what you are. 8 months from now, the people of South Carolina are going to vote to fire the radical Democrats. You're going to elect an incredible slate of true America First Republicans. You're going to re-elect your governor, Henry McMaster.
There it is,
Together,
folks.
we're
First
going to end
dog
Nancy
whistle.
Pelosi's political career once and for all. For the past year, we've watched in horror as everything Joe Biden touches turns into a calamity and a total disaster. It's one train wreck after another. He abolished our southern border.
Damn. What? Abolish the southern... Whoa. Damn. Guys, it's just gone. It's just gone. If you pan over to the southern border, it's just gone. Completely abolished. It's done. It's gone. Sorry, guys. It just doesn't exist anymore. Wow. I'm just blown away.
Never seen anything like it. Millions and millions of people, many of them from jails from other countries, are being dumped into our country.
Dumped, guys.
He invited them in. He invited them in. He does nothing about it. He triggered massive inflation.
Oh,
There were
yeah.
more COVID deaths in 2021 than
Damn. Joe Biden single-handedly single-handedly did all this. The worst part about this is he's doing 100 times more to motivate Republican voters than Dems are. Oh yeah, 1,000%. I agree. Yeah, Mexico's been taken over. It's gone, guys. It's done. It's done. Yeah, we're gonna go to Nicaragua. We're gonna go to Costa Rica, all the way down. Yep. There's just gonna be no southern border. It's just all gonna be taken over. Yeah, I saw one of your articles that kind of on I'll talk about it if I have time. Let's see how far we can get into this.
In all of 2020, and hospitalization shattered every record, even while Biden imposed illegal mandates all over the place. He ordered the Department of
What?
Justice to spy on patriotic parents. He crippled American energy.
What?
He disgraced our nation.
Wrong. Oh my god, am I gonna have to stop every 5 seconds? Jesus Christ. So, no. The folks, if he's referring to some of the folks who are, some of the parents who are being investigated by the FBI, it's because they were threatening and stalking public officials. That's why that happened. Okay? You can be investigated for threatening and stalking public officials. Yeah, not only teachers, but they also threatened and stalked, yes, the school boards. That's right. They also threatened and stalked the school board members. That's why that guy, several people were investigated. It's not a secret. Okay, you can literally look that up. That's not a secret.
With his humiliating surrender in Afghanistan, there's never been a lower point in the history of our country.
Never
There's
been a
never
lower
been
point.
A lower point in the history.
Never, never been a lower point in our history. Just never. That just never happened. Most of them don't even have kids that go to the schools. What?
Of our country, dead soldiers left our people behind. $85 billion worth of equipment left behind. Who
That's a exhausting talking point that has been debunked over and over again.
would even believe a thing like that could happen? And we went 18 months, not one American soldier was killed. I told Abdul, the head of the Taliban, Abdul, don't do it. Don't even think about doing it. 18 months we went. I told it much tougher than that, but I don't want to drive people crazy. I don't want to drive the fake news crazy. But we said it in a strong tone, and we went 18 months. Think of it, 18 months, not one soldier killed. And when you just thought it couldn't get worse, any worse than that, I think that was frankly the lowest point in the history of our country, in my opinion. Joe Biden failed to deter Russia's outrageous invasion of Ukraine. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put...
So what exactly? How exactly should he have managed that? Because if you're going to criticize somebody, then you must have some type of alternative plan, right? You must have some rebuttal to it. I would do X, Y, and Z because this is why I think that Biden mishandled it in this way or that way or whatever, right? Like, where are your alternatives? Because the last time I checked, this bumbling idiot was made a suggestion that we should bomb Russia with our planes just with the Chinese flag painted on it. That was his suggestion.
Put them together and they would not have done the damage Joe Biden has done in just 13 months. We have a president representing our country at the most important time in history who is physically and mentally challenged. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is a terrible atrocity that should never have been allowed to happen. It would have never happened.
I thought Putin was smart, though. Not sure. Truth Social is failing, yeah. Yella King resubscribing for 15 months. Hypers. Wow. That always surprises me each and every time. 15 months. I think last time Chai Bureaucrat was like around that time. 15 plus months. I think Alio also had a high up number. My goodness, you guys, the support has just been unreal. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Happened. I know I speak for everyone here tonight when I say we are praying for the proud people of Ukraine. They are going through hell. They are fighters, and God bless them all. Make no mistake, however, that Russia would not have dared to annex 1 inch of territory if I was in the White House. In fact,
What would
they
you
never
have
did it
done?
when I was there. A lot of people ask the question, how come they never did it when Trump was president? And China, he said they knew better. What a nice crowd. Look at that crowd up there. Beautiful. Beautiful. In fact, I stand as the only president of the 21st century on whose watch Russia did not invade another country, and neither did anyone else. They knew. Under our administration, we had peace through strength. That's what it was. Our country was safe, and the world was calm because
That's right, 16 months. Wow.
America was strong, and they respected your leadership. And America was always a place that I put it before everybody else. It was always America first. Very simple. It's very simple. It was all about America first. It was also about making America great again, but it was about America first, because that's how you make it great. We rebuilt the U.S. military with $2.5 trillion that was spent, the largest number ever spent. We had fighter jets that were 40 years old. We had old equipment, broken equipment. Everything is
What? Okay. Didn't the military budget expand under this administration? Didn't we give the military what? Like I'm pretty sure we talked about this. We gave the military an extra what? Tens of billions of dollars that they didn't even ask for? You earn it? Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Truth Social is failing. Trump says Biden is horrible. Republicans refuse. Yeah, it's a lot of the culture war stuff. Trump doesn't top. He doesn't want to be forgotten. Yeah, well.
Brand new, beautiful, and I hate to do it, and I hate to tell you, but our nuclear weapons, I rebuilt them, and we have brand new, and I hate to even mention.
What? Bro, you don't talk about this kind of stuff. First of all. Second of all, source? Since I guess we're giving out the details? Yes, but what about the windmills? True, I didn't think about that.
Mention it because the last thing we ever want to use is nuclear weapons, but nobody has what we've built. And our president always says, but Russia is a nuclear power, but so are we. He never says that. He never says that. And you never want to use it, but the way you don't use it is by letting everyone know that we have it bigger and better, stronger than they do.
It's all irrelevant. What an absolute clown. Listen, it's all irrelevant because Russia, first of all, outnumbers us in terms of nuclear weapons by a bit. By a bit, enough to make it not matter, okay? And to make it not matter, it's all gone. It's all gone. The planet is done. For, all intents and purposes, most of us will be pretty much effed. If a nuclear winter happens, I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter how awesome the US's nuclear arsenal is. Oh my god.
We obliterated the senior ranks of Al-Qaeda. We decimated ISIS. We got rid of ISIS.
No. ISIS is still fine and operating. What?
100%.
100%, folks.
We killed al-Baghdadi, the head of ISIS. And we terminated Qasem Soleimani. He was responsible for all...
Which almost, by the way, sparked a war. Thank you for the follow, Anthony Whalen. Appreciate that. Why is this guy even campaigning? Because I think he wants to run.
All of those bombs that go off on the road and destroy our people and other people and blow everybody to pieces, losing their legs and losing their arms and losing everything they have. He was responsible for that. We stood up to China and Iran like never before. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars of taxes and tariffs while I was president.
That's not how that works.
They never paid us 10 cents. And Iran was ready to make a deal.
That's not how that works.
They had nothing. They were ready to make a deal. If the election weren't rigged, we would have had a deal within
the election was not rigged.
The election. We made clear that we made clear, and we had to make it clear that any adversary who threatened our people did so at their own peril. And interestingly, we built such a strong military. We had such great people, You know, we have great generals. When I knocked out ISIS and other things that we did, remember we took the shot when President Obama said, don't ever go across the red line. When they went across the red line, nothing happened. But when I got in, something happened. 59 missiles shot right down. They're floating.
What? Wait, hold on. Is this like Schrodinger's military? So if he beefed it up, isn't it already the best military ever? We can't have simultaneously a decrepit military, but also I literally just refitted our military. How do people buy this crap? This is Schrodinger's military. This is exactly like what he says about the wall. The wall only works when he's in power. But if he's not in power, then the southern border is abolished. If I keep repeating the same thing, people will believe it. Unfortunately, that's how it works. Which is why we have to address it.
In Syria. And the Russians were right next door in their barracks. They sort of started running pretty fast. 59 missiles, you remember that? And I was having dinner with President Xi of China. And I said, President!
President!
I'd like to tell you something. What is it? What is it? And through his interpreter, he didn't speak English. I didn't think he spoke English at all. This is a story I think I've never told a big crowd like this, but I didn't think he spoke English because he wouldn't even say hello. We had a very good relationship until COVID, and then I said, forget it, COVID. That was a step too far. But we did. We respected each other. We respected each other. But I said, President, we were eating chocolate cake at Mar-a-Lago. Most beautiful chocolate cake. And they were very close in some form to Syria. I said, President, late at night, I want to let you know something. I have to tell you, not that you go back to your beautiful room and say, he never even told me that. We just shot 59 missiles into Syria. And he said, without his interpreter, repeat. I said, he just said repeat. I didn't think he spoke English. These are very smart people we're dealing with, you know? We have somebody that's not at the top of his game, never was actually. And these people are at the top of their game. But he said repeat. I said, you got to be kidding. So he knew everything we were saying. So don't talk behind their back. Under my leadership, America was feared by our enemies, and we were respected by all. The fake news, they are fake. The fake news said You know, when I first started in politics, I have to say that they had a very high approval rating. Now they have an approval rating that's lower than Congress. Isn't that nice? So we got the point across. The fake news said my personality would get us into a war. I'm telling you, that guy's going to get us into a war. But actually, my personality is what kept us out of war. I was the only president in nearly 4 decades who did not get America into any new conflicts. Instead, I brought our troops and our wonderful children back home. I brought them back home where they belong.
What? Wait, so then what did Biden do? Well, I will give him this. I will give him this one point, which is under his administration, which was brief, there was no new conflict, at least. I guess. Good meme.
Under Joe Biden, America is neither feared nor respected. There has never been a time where our country has been treated the way it is right now. Other countries are lecturing us and telling us what to do. And that's why we are seeing chaos and mayhem and bloodshed all over the world. Never been a time like it. Meanwhile,
yes.
You have warmongers like this crazy Liz Cheney. She's a nut job. And Adam Kinzinger. You ever see him? He gets on television. He cries all the time. He starts crying. I don't know. Governors.
Well, hold on. That's kind of true.
Is that an actor? Is he serious? He's crying all the time. We call him Crying Adam Kinzinger. And the other neocons who have never found a war that they did not want. And by the way, we got everything we wanted. We didn't have to go to war. They don't mind our soldiers and other people and other soldiers from other countries dying. They don't think about that. In the name of democracy, they destroyed Syria, Libya, Iraq, and Afghanistan. I brought our soldiers back home, leaving a trail of devastation.
Okay. That part is true. Except he didn't actually bring the troops home. He didn't do that. But okay. That's right.
And suffering. Rarely has the world seen anything like it. And remember that with Ukraine, I sent the javelins that you see are so effective against the tanks. Biden didn't. And in fact, he ended our last order. Probably it'll get there because everyone realized it was the right thing to
Source?
do. And Obama, remember Obama, Biden?
Obama.
They sent blankets. I sent javelins and they sent, well, you know what the javelins are? The anti-tank weapons. They knock the hell out of those tanks. And Ukraine wouldn't be having a chance without them. That was all sent by me, all of it. We sent other military equipment too. We didn't send our soldiers, but we sent them a lot of equipment. Well, we need to help stop this brutal invasion. We also have to clean out the rot of our failed foreign policy establishment. It is indeed rotten to the core before these total lunatics lead us down the path of national ruin and World War III. They will do it too. We have to continue to drain the swamp. We did a lot of it, but the swamp was deep, deeper than anybody believed. Despite all of Biden's weakness, cowardice, and incompetence, there is still a path for him to end this tragedy in Ukraine without getting America ensnared in a gruesome and very bloody...
So how do you want to do it? Yeah, like, didn't he... wait, didn't he wasn't there a whole big scandal because there was a request for aid and he held it up in an attempt to find information on... Was it Hunter Biden or something like that? That's why he was impeached. Mayhem Hippie, thank you for the follow.
War, a bloody war. This could lead, by the way, this could lead to World War III. I see what's happening. Because if you think Putin's going to stop, it's going to get worse and worse. He's not going to accept it, and we don't have anybody to talk to him. You had somebody to talk to him with me. Nobody was ever tougher on Russia than me. I'm the one that stopped the pipeline. I had it stopped. I'm the one that put all the sanctions on. And I'm the one that he didn't attack during our administration.
Wait. If he put up the... If he put a stop to the pipeline... Then am I imagining things when Germany says they were the ones that are going to stop the pipeline on their own volition? To my understanding, the negotiations between Biden and the German chancellor was the thing that ended the pipeline. Biden did that. Plus the German chancellor. Jesus Christ.
Everyone's asking about that now, even the radical left reporters up there.
The radical left.
The U.S. must make clear to Putin that he has two choices: to negotiate peace right now or else face blistering consequences.
That's right,
including
Anthony.
Push to permanently eliminate dependence on Russian energy. And we're talking about forever or for a long, long time. Because without the money coming in from energy, Russia doesn't work. But to make this threat credible, the U.S. would have to immediately end Biden's ridiculous war on American energy. We were energy independent.
We were not.
It's very simple. We have to get our great energy workers drilling, pumping, producing,
Nope.
mining, and refining like never before. We have to do that. Some of them are sitting right back here.
Wrong. 100% wrong.
Nice
We just went... Hold on.
Famous. Here's the thing.
We just went over an article where the Biden administration has allowed and has opened more permits than the Trump administration in the same amount of time. Right, the whole stopping this pipeline thing is a bit of a misnomer. There are literally thousands of pipelines and supply lines that exist in practically every country. Stopping one isn't going to cut off a nation. Right. The US produces the wrong kind of oil and has to export it. Yes, not only that, to my understanding, we were never energy independent, first of all. Second of all, it is a lie that the Biden administration hasn't done anything. We literally just went over an article about the numbers of permits for drilling. So, yeah. And furthermore, who's to say that this oil that's being produced is for us? It's exported. All this stuff is exported.
You have a better location, but they're going to become famous. You know why? They're on television. You have a better location, but they're going to become famous. So what can I tell you? Because those faces, those beautiful faces, are all on television. Thank you.
Oh my God, this is so dystopic.
But it is true. I'll tell you, over there, we've had a lot of speeches. And we always have the biggest crowds. By the way, the biggest crowds ever, no politician, nobody's ever... you know what? Honestly, Elvis doesn't have crowds. We break Elvis's records. We were in Texas 2 weeks ago in Texas, 87,000 people at the State Fair. 87,000. They turned away 50,000 people.
The same 500 points. Trump loves Korea and Russia. Yeah, he likes autocratic
I never thought
people.
I'd see it. What? you broke Elvis Presley's record. And I said, you know what I said to him? Yeah, and I didn't have a guitar. It's easy. I'm just up here by myself, but it's true. So these people in back, so sometimes I'll be making a speech, and I'll go home and I'll check it out on television because I'll say, like, I wonder how it looks. And there'll be somebody in the audience behind us that's so stunning, that's so...
He rewatches his own speeches. His own rallies. That's a good meme. Zelensky's going to speak with Congress again. I don't know what time. Interesting.
Handsome or beautiful. Handsome or beautiful. That you cannot take your mind or your eyes off that person.
Okay.
And you know that sometimes Hollywood calls those people. So we've made a lot of really great stars sitting there. We've never made a star out here, but they've enjoyed the speeches very much.
Weird
so
champ.
just, that's the way life works, isn't it? Just think of it, though. Joe Biden is the president of the most energy-rich country on the planet. You are right about that, by the way, sir. Yet because of his party's climate hysteria,
Climate hysteria.
Biden locked down American oil and natural gas production.
He locked it down, folks. No more oil. No more oil. Oops. Oopsies.
And now Biden is crawling around the globe on his knees, begging and pleading for mercy from Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Venezuela. You know what? They don't understand. So we all want clean air.
That's
we all
right.
want all of the things that they talk about. The Green New Deal. The woman that thought of the Green New Deal didn't even go to a college to study it. She made it up. By the way, it was 12 years. We're down to 7. 7 years, the world is going to be destroyed because
Nobody
the
said
oceans
that.
are going to rise 1/100th of an inch within the next 300.
Okay. Yeah, this is all just absolute clown level of misunderstanding and misinformation. And a just sheer purposeful anti-intellectualism. Yeah, this guy... That was like 3 lies in 10 seconds. Hey, study progressive. Yeah, this guy lies at an amazing speed. We've only gotten through 20 minutes of it, and I think we're about to cut it here. The Canadian pipeline was only 10% built and would take years to finish. Yeah.
100 years. It's going to kill everybody. It's going to create more oceanfront property. That's what it's going to do.
That's
They
not...
say over the next 300 years, the oceans will rise.
Yes.
About this much.
No.
But you know, the real threat we have is the nuclear threat. That's going to be the global warming, and we can't let that ever happen. The
That's
nuclear
not...
threat. That's the real global warming that nobody ever talks about.
What?
The lunatics on the left, the global radicals. These are global environmental radicals. They never talk about it. To tap into Iranian oil, Biden is betraying Israel by racing to sign a new...
What? I guess if I had 3rd grade education, I would believe this also. Alright, that's enough. I don't think I can go over anything else. I mean, like, I'm gonna end up stopping this every 5 seconds, so...
Iran nuclear deal. Remember, it's all turned out now to be a hoax. He parroted their lies. He gave aid and comfort to the Republican Party, and frankly, to stab our country in the back. Right here in the 7th Congressional District, Tom Rice, a disaster. He's respected by no one. He's laughed at in Washington. He was never thought highly of in Washington. And he was just censured by your great South Carolina GOP. Tom Rice joined the Democrats' deranged impeachment witch hunt hoax. It's all turned out to be a hoax. It's all turned out now to be a hoax.
No.
He parroted their lies. He gave aid and comfort to their weaponization of the national security state against the domestic political opponents. He voted for the unselect committee of highly partisan politicians that are running this horrible witch hunt in Washington. It's a witch hunt.
No. No. If he's talking about the January 6th committee, no. The Democratic Party asked the Democratic Party asked for a complete, straight down the middle, bipartisan with each equal subpoena power to do this investigation. They refused. We are in a sad state of affairs. True. Well, it's not my show. You do you. I just can't. Morning. Hey, how's it going? Let's just talk about it more in the way people learn. Yeah, but it's the same old rehashed thing. Do you know how many times I've heard this story? Like, there's only so much. There's only so much I can do.
Showing a massive illegal ballot harvesting scheme in Georgia
like
and other swing
election, they trying to continue to perpetuate the lies about the election, which he talked about at the beginning. I mean, it's the same story, folks.
I wonder. Together with your help, we will fight for more jobs for American families, fair trade for American workers, and more South Carolina factories.
Yeah, so
forging
vague
more products
posting.
stamped with that beautiful phrase, movement in the history of our country.
Yeah, with that beautiful phrase, made in America, as, if anyone has ever looked at one of these hats, should know, they're not made here.
Together, we are standing up against some of the most sinister forces, entrenched interests, and
Like who?
vicious opponents our people have ever seen.
Like who?
But no matter how big or powerful these corrupt radicals may be, you must never forget this nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you.
Oof. Yikes.
This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American
Oof.
liberty is your God-given right.
Okay. Alright, that's enough, buddy. Go home. Yeah, it's the same spiel. Like, I could literally, jump to any point
But
and
who
it's...
would have thought? To think that I shut the pipeline down and they opened it up immediately. It's
See? He's talking about the same garbage you... Yeah, okay. He didn't shut the pipeline down. Stop it. They literally all looked like the emote? Yeah. Yeah, it's the same garbage. Time after time again. It's boring. I'm not sure I'm defensive, but if there's any correlation between obesity and reduced intellectual capacity, I don't know. The only thing that you can say is that, like, when you're not, like, healthy, I mean, that has to affect your everything, right? If you're not healthy, or if you're not able to eat healthy, whether it be because you're poor, whether it be because of choices, either way, I suspect that it's going to affect you. I mean, that's why we advocate to make sure people have food, housing, education, and healthcare, right? Because we want people to be their best self. Food and nutrition is incredibly important. I'm fascinated on the type of people that follow him. It's really strange how easy it is to get people. It is to get people to give your money or attention isn't factually more correct. Yeah, because they're not interested in that. They're interested in how their feelies feel. Man, woman, camera, TV.
I believe climate control is nothing but a ruse of the devil. Mm-hmm. Climate fluctuates, and I've seen graphs on this thing, and they are attributing this to man-made. I believe
the right wing, ladies and gentlemen.
Climate control is nothing but a ruse of the devil. Mm-hmm. Climate fluctuates, and I've seen graphs on this thing, and they are attributing this to man-made climate change, and they're using this as... I believe, in my opinion, opinions are like noses. Everybody's got one, usually has a couple of holes in it. But I believe that the environmentalists and climate change things and their push to get rid of fossil fuels are what's empowered Putin to be able to go in and take over Ukraine. And people are dying because Christians aren't standing up and countering these things. So it's not politics, it's just standing for truth.
That's a good meme. Obviously, all that is nonsense. That's a good meme. Being the most loudest and most coverage and most followers, yeah, because it's bombastic. It's just the way, unfortunately, it works because, well, if you attract a lot of attention by being outrageous or out there, you attract more eyeballs, and if you attract more eyeballs, so on and so forth, yeah. So Christians should kill people with climate change instead. I don't know what the argument is here. It's just nonsense. Yeah, I completely think that that's a possibility simply because, well, what obviously how your health is physically is incredibly important. Yeah. Really quickly, folks, because we don't have that much time left, but we do need to get going on this IPCC report. The EPA on Friday proposed a new rule that imposes mandatory reductions of air pollution in numerous U.S. states that blows downwind into their neighbors. Under the proposed rule, 26 upwind states would be required to reduce ground level ozone, the main component of smog emitted by power plants that eventually reaches downwind states. The proposals include adding electric generating units in half of the U.S. states beginning in 2023. It would also include new emission standards for industrial pollutants that affect downwind air quality in 23 states beginning in 2026. The agency projects that the changes could prevent some 1,000 premature deaths that year and 1 million fewer asthma attacks. Yeah. So something, I guess. We'll see how this ends up turning out. I also will still keep an eye out on that Supreme Court case as well. The Supreme Court case that is being fought, I think, against... Is it against the EPA? I believe so. Yes. Yeah, what good is your health in a hurricane? I mean, it is intertwined, right? I mean, pollution, heat strokes, flooding, all that is affecting your health directly. All of that affects your health directly. Okay, VP Kamala Harris told Democrats their job is to tell Americans that they got what they ordered when electing herself and President Biden in November ahead of the potentially perilous midterms. No. No. Cool. Our task is to... I'm going to go over this really quickly because, I don't have that much time. Our task is to show people that in many ways they got what they ordered. That's... What? No, that's not... No. No. Wrong. Incorrect. While much of Biden's planned agenda has failed in the steps of Congress, notably the BBB, which... Oh, that's a great meme. The party is touting the American Rescue Plan and a bipartisan infrastructure bill that did get signed into law. Oh, yeah. The bare minimum to upkeep infrastructure. Which, how is that a W? That should just be standard procedure, folks. The American Rescue Plan had some good elements in it. Particularly, I think the child tax credits were good. But don't try to tell me that I got what I ordered. What? Don't tell me I got what I ordered. See, this is the kind of they're just so backwards, so naive. Or a really sad attempt to gaslight people as if what we forgot. A lot of what they demanded they got. So let's get out there as we do and remind them, because we know they will show up again. Nah. Oh my god, the strategy behind this logic, this line of thinking is just so ridiculous. As someone who that received a child's tax credit, it was a lifesaver this past year. I'm now back on the struggle bus without it. Yeah, that's why the first thing that I mentioned, particularly with the American Rescue Plan, was the child tax credit. That was good. And yet they weren't even able to keep that afloat despite its... first of all, despite the fact that it helped millions of people, and instead opted to prioritize other things instead of just continuing this very, very A, popular, B, incredibly helpful program. They weren't able to even continue that. That being said, no, we did not get anywhere near what we wanted, what we demanded, whatever that means. The quality of life difference is huge. It's sad that politicians can rip that away from children. True. Yeah, this is incredibly vague. We have a record to be proud of, an agenda that addresses the biggest concerns in America. What? The message that resonates, Biden said to the 415 members at the DNC. Now we have to do is sell it with confidence, clarity, conviction, and repetition. Yeah, unfortunately, my friend, that ain't it. That ain't it. It is incredibly... It is incredibly condescending to be told that we got what we ordered. And to be told that this is what we demanded. It's easier to gaslight the American people that accept responsibility for passing things that truly help the working class. Yeah, sure. I mean, like, part of that American Rescue Plan was good. There was pieces of it that, that worked, that should have been continued, and should have been expanded on. I think the very least they could have acknowledged the fact of what their limits were. But why? But it wasn't. Why? What was the driving force behind the failure of it? Well, part of it, and I suspect maybe there may be more at play here, but an example would be to quote Mr. Joe Manchin, a Democrat. We wouldn't want the American people to develop an entitlement attitude or something like that. Was his quote. Here's the exact quote from Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia. I cannot accept our economy or basically our society moving towards an entitlement mentality. Explaining in opposition to the Democratic budget proposal back in last year when it mattered. I feel age and learn to adapt to rate and ability to evolve and progress with this country hinders us. True. And the core is that politicians on both sides are deeply out of touch with reality of this country. I think some to a certain degree in certain circumstances, I believe that is true. This is what triggers me. Is like the gaslight, I think, is what triggers me. Democrats, Ms. Pelosi told Biden and a group of his aides that need a more succinct and consistent message. The speaker has long been fond of pithy, made-for-bumper sticker mantras, offered a suggestion she heard from members. Democrats deliver. Okay, deliver what? Well, Pelosi did not fully detail with some of her party's most politically imperiled lawmakers revolting against Mr. Biden's preferred slogan, Build Back Better, believing that it had become a toxic phrase. What? That only reminded voters of the party's failure to pass its sweeping social policy bill. Yeah, I wonder. I wonder why that happened. I wonder how that happened. Yeah, this is just infuriating. This. If you want to have a chance, or had a chance, I don't know how, at this point, what their aim is or what their goal is. Democrats deliver, then they've got just a couple months to do so. Period. Also curious. 45 and over? I'm not 45 and over. Why is this like trying to shill me? I swear I get the most bizarre ads I have ever seen. I'm not 45. I'm not single. And I'm not lonely. Who does this? Like, who decided that they were going to put this ad in front of my face? I want to know. There are dozens of contacting officials voting, yeah, ResistBot is a free service. Interesting. Single and lonely? Yeah, like, what? Why is this ad being served to me? Explain that to me. Explain that to me. Anyways, this is infuriating. Just take your L, dude. Say you failed, and explain to the American people, or get your collective ish together and do something. That requires accountability, something most politicians have forgotten. True. Alright, folks. We are moving into our IPCC segment report that we've been covering. This is the Working Group 2 release. If you guys want to actually check out the full report, please check out the link there. And it's all the same. Who do you think owns all the majority part of the Bitcoin? It's definitely not the people. There is a 1% within crypto. That's where all the money goes to. If it's got how do I say this? If it operates in a if it operates in the same manner or has the same type of kind of deal when it comes to like stocks and essentially stocks and investments, crypto is the same. The only difference is you know, if you use it as like just money, as like digital cash, then yeah. Bitcoin is decentralized. It's decentralized in the sense that like how it's made, but the people who own the most amount of Bitcoin are the top like 1%ers. There are 1%ers within that, you know, world. Right. Is this part of the report that leaked? No, this one was actually just released, you know, as per usual. The Working Group 3 report was leaked, and I think we went over that one. That one officially comes out April. But yeah. Also, folks, just a quick shill. If you guys have noticed on the top bottom left, there is a sponsor banner for HelloFresh. Make sure if you do or are interested in getting free meals delivered to you, use code POG SE2534 to get up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts. Look at that. Across 6 HelloFresh boxes. I personally have used HelloFresh myself. There are veggie options, and what's really cool is that at some point you can just keep the recipes, yeah? That's what we did. Exclamation point HelloFresh. Alright, folks. Bitcoin does not have a central authority. Right, well, it doesn't have a central authority in that sense, but like I said, there is a 1% kind of top-down thing, which is basically you're just trading well, those who have a lot of money and have a lot of crypto are the same people. So HelloFresh is great. It's absolutely awesome. My personal experience with HelloFresh has been pretty decent. So you're not like trading for like Wall Street, but you're trading for Crypto Street, essentially. Alright, chat, we don't have a lot of time, so we're going to try to get through some of this here. Okay. I think we went over this yesterday. The impacts of the hydrological cycle And I think this is where we're at. Observed mortality from floods, droughts, and storms is 15 times higher for countries ranked as highly vulnerable compared to less vulnerable countries in the last decade. High confidence. While an increase in drought has been observed in almost all continents to different extents, it is particularly the most vulnerable regions where such droughts result in negative high mortality. Results in relatively high mortality, high confidence. Between 1970 and 2019, 7% of all disaster events worldwide are drought-related, yet they contribute to 34% of disaster-related deaths, mostly in Africa. Right. Mental health challenges increases as with warming temperature, high confidence, trauma associated with extreme weather, high confidence, and loss of livelihoods and culture, high confidence. Distress. Distress sufficient to impair mental health has been caused by climate-related ecological grief associated with environmental change, solastalgia, or extreme weather and climate events, very high confidence, vicariously experiencing or anticipating climate events, medium confidence, climate-related loss of livelihoods and food insecurity, which creates mental health challenges, as I think we just touched up on that. I think we literally just touched up on that. High confidence, very high confidence. Vulnerability to mental health effects of climate change varies by region, population, with evidence that indigenous people, agricultural communities, first responders, women, and members of minority groups experience greater impacts. Yeah, I bet. Increasing temperature and heat waves have increased mortality and morbidity. Very high confidence with impacts that vary by age, gender, urbanization, and socioeconomic factors. True. Send it to me. A significant portion of warm season heat-related mortality in temperate regions is attributed to observed anthropogenic, human-made, in case you don't know, Mr. Chomp, what that word means, medium confidence with less data available for tropical regions in Africa, high confidence. For some heat wave events, over the last 2 decades associated with health impacts have been partially attributed to observed climate change. High confidence. Highly vulnerable groups experiencing health impacts from heat stress, including anyone working outdoors and especially those doing outdoor manual labor, example, construction work or farming. Potential hours of work lost due to heat has increased significantly over the past 2 decades. Some regions are already experiencing heat stress conditions that are approaching upper limits of labor productivity. High confidence. Climate change has contributed to malnutrition in all its form in many regions, including undernutrition, overnutrition, obesity, and disease susceptibility. High confidence, especially for women, pregnant women, children, low-income houses, indigenous people, minority groups, and small-scale producers. High confidence. Extreme climate events have been key drivers in rising undernutrition for millions of people, primarily in Africa and Central America. High confidence. I believe we went over a New York Times special, thanks to James Napper, about this very same here. For example, anthropogenic warming contributed to climate extremes induced by the 2015-2016 El Nino, which resulted in severe droughts, resulting in an additional 5.9 million children becoming underweight in 51 countries. High confidence. Undernutrition can in turn increase susceptibility to other health problems, including mental health problems, impair cognitive and work performance, with resulting economic impacts, which again, I believe we literally just went over this. Oh my goodness, feminist critique. Thank you so much for the raid. I appreciate that. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Tiniest boop. I think I did it. No, come on. Don't worry, folks, I got this. Hi, Celine, how's it going? Aha, gotcha. Folks, if you haven't already, please go check out Feminist Critique. Twitch.tv/Feminist Critique. Go show some support. Thank you so much. If you don't know who we are a difficult truth. We do news and politics, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and Saturday, noon Eastern Time. Tiniest Boop. That's an amazing username. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Feminist Critique. Thank you. And welcome. Howdy. Pretty good. Hope you're having a good stream. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We're hanging in there. Despite the despite the very obvious doom that's happening. Resulting in economic impact. So yes, obviously undernutrition does have cognitive and impairs cognitive and work performance with resulting economic impacts, of course, because, well, if you're unable to work, obviously, in this hellscape, you're unable to feed yourself or house yourself. Children and pregnant women experience disproportionate adverse health and nutrition impacts. High confidence. Climate-related food safety risks have increased globally. High confidence. These risks include salmonella, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this one. Campylobacter, Cryptosporidium infections, mycotoxins associated with cancer and stunting in children. High confidence. Seafood contamination with marine toxins and pathogens. High confidence. Climate-related foodborne disease. Foodborne disease risk vary temporally and are influenced in part by food availability, accessibility, preparation, and preference. Medium confidence as well as adequate food safety monitoring. High confidence. Yeah, I don't agree with that. That can all go down so quickly. Oof, it's scary. High temperatures combined with land use, land cover change are making more areas suitable for transmission of vector-borne diseases. Right, we talked about this. The next pandemic, essentially. More extreme weather events have contributed to vector-borne disease outbreaks in humans through direct effects on pathogens and vectors and indirect effects on human behavior and emergency response destabilization. Medium confidence. Climate change and variability are facilitating the spread of, this virus, chikungunya virus in North, Central, and South America, Europe, and Asia. Medium to high confidence. Tick-borne encephalitis in Europe. Rift Valley fever in Africa. West Nile fever in southeastern Europe and Western Africa, Asia. The Canadian prairies and parts of USA. Lyme disease vectors in North America, high confidence in Europe. Medium confidence. Malaria in East and Southern Africa, high confidence. And dengue globally, high confidence. For example, in Central and South America, the reproduction potential for transmission of dengue has increased between 17 and 80% for the period of 1950 to 54 to 2016 to 2021, depending on the subregion as a result of changes in temperature and precipitation. High confidence. Yeah. That is deeply disturbing. As climate change progresses, it'll become easier for a lot of diseases to propagate. Higher temperatures, very high confidence, heavy rainfall events, high confidence, and flooding, medium confidence, are associated with increased waterborne diseases, particularly diarrheal diseases, including cholera. Well, in Spanish, cholera. Yeah. very high confidence in other gastrointestinal infections, high confidence in middle and high, middle, and low income countries. Yeah, it does not matter, folks. It does not matter. Water insecurity and inadequate water, sanitation, hygiene increases disease risk. High confidence. Yeah, obviously. Stress and adverse mental health, limited evidence, medium agreement, food insecurity and adverse nutritional outcomes, and poor cognitive and birth outcomes, limited evidence, medium agreement. Yeah. All of this points to the realities of climate change. And it's not just about the temperature being just a little bit hotter. It's not just about, oh, we're having a little bit of hotter, unusual summers, or, man, the weather patterns are a bit odd. It's not just that. There's so much more involved, up to and including our own human health, both physical and mental. Cholera. I hope to get on board with your time zone tomorrow. Yeah, we're back to that weird time zone. You do a great job with this IPCC report. I appreciate that. Climate change-driven range shifts of wildlife, exploitation of wildlife, and loss of wildlife habitat quality has increased opportunities for pathogens to spread from wildlife to human populations, which has resulted in increased emergence of zoonotic disease epidemics and pandemics. Medium confidence. So it is quite possible. We change our clocks in 2 weeks? What? That's so weird. It's almost like that's arbitrary. Zoonoses that have been historically rare, never documented in Arctic and subarctic regions of Europe, Asia, and North America are emerging as a result of climate-induced environmental change. Example, anthrax, and is spreading poleward and increasing in incidences. Example, tularemia, very high confidence. Several chronic, non-communicable respiratory diseases are climate-sensitive based on their exposure pathways. Example, heat, cold, dust, small particles, ozone, fire, smoke, and allergens, high confidence. Though climate change is not the dominant driver in all cases. True. Exposure to wildfires and associated smoke has increased in several regions. Very high confidence. We've seen that one. In 2019 to 2020, southeastern Australian wildfires resulted in 33 people killed, a further 429 deaths, and 3,230 hospitalizations due to cardiovascular respiratory conditions, and about 1.95 billion in health costs. Spring pollen season start dates in northern and mid-latitudes are occurring earlier due to climate change, increasing the risk of allergic respiration disease. Since AR5, which was the previous climate report, there is increased evidence that climate hazards associated with extreme events and variability act as drivers of involuntary migration and displacement as indirect drivers through deteriorating climate-sensitive livelihoods. High confidence. Most climate-related displacement and migration occur within national boundaries, with international movements occurring primarily between countries with contiguous borders. High confidence. Since 2008, an annual average of over 20 million people have been internally displaced annually by weather-related extreme events, with storms and floods being the most common. High confidence. We've seen that one. We've seen plenty of stories of folks who have been forced to leave their homes because of climate change. Climate change has destroyed their ability to grow crops, which they make a living off of, and without that, they have absolutely no choice but to leave. All right, folks, we're making some progress, and I'm very, very, very proud of that. But unfortunately, I do have to get going. It is 11:28. Thank you all so much for hanging out here. I appreciate that. Thank you for all the new follows. Thank you so much to the Benjamin B. Dixon Show for the raid. Thank you so much for Feminist Critique for the raid. Please make sure you support these folks. Thank you so much for all the subscriptions. I see you, Yellow King. Thank you. Thank you for all the new follows. You guys are what makes this channel grow. If you guys haven't already, please make sure you hit that follow button on your way out. It really does help us out. Please consider checking out the YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Takes 5 seconds, I promise. Join the Discord as always to keep up with the channel. I appreciate you guys. Please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Bat Manicure, thank you for the subscription. Thank you so much. Just throwing one out there right before we go. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I appreciate it. Ending the stream on a good note. Alright, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya. Right at the end. Have a good day. You have a good day. Thank you so much. Until next time.